Today's top story involves Jessica Alba, specifically her estranged husband, specifically who Alba's estranged husband's dating, and the age difference. Then we're going to answer one of the most common questions that I hear women ask on social media, and I'm happy to provide the same answer we've been giving them for a while. Then the profile of the day, we're gonna figure out if you should swipe left or right on this modern woman, and if there are any green or red flags. And today, the comment of the day is a treat because I've been promising you guys a juicy hate mail. Well, this time you're gonna get two. All of this, and I'm streaming live from, I shouldn't say obviously, if you don't know me, I am streaming live from Bangkok, Thailand, where I've lived for over 2 years now. I'm a passport bro, and we talk about it all the time. But tonight's top story is Jessica Alba, and specifically her estranged husband, who she is still married to, as he's been going around town with his new girlfriend. And you can see her walking around here. I guess one of the paparazzis caught it. Now, the big news is that she is 20 years younger than him. So, this is a big news. And of course, everyone's really angry about it. And by everyone, I mean, single women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. Now, this should not be that uncommon because, as you guys probably know, that the highest value that a man usually has in his life is in his 40s, and the highest value that a woman has in her life, and this is within the context of dating, is in her 20s. This is why this works. So, now Jessica, by the way, is also dating somebody quite controversial. We'll talk about in just a second. Now, I got to tell you, I myself am in my late 40s, and today I have a date with a woman 15 years younger than me. My parents have almost 20 years of difference, and they've been married for over 50 years. This whole thing is completely been blown out of proportion by, again, jealous, lonely, aging women who, by the way, have no problems having it the other way around because, as I mentioned earlier, Jessica is also dating somebody now 12 years younger than her. Now, this is a trend that I've covered, I believe, yesterday. This is something that's been happening a lot where women, because she's now in her 40s, right? Once they get dumped by either their boyfriends or husbands, because they think, or they usually dump them, right? Because they think they can do so much better because all of these simps and beta males are trying to get their attention and trying to give them the validation, and then they can do better. But then once they get back onto the into the reality, they realize that they don't want these sims that were essentially pushing them out of the marriage. They want the men who don't really want them, so they end up dating younger men, which essentially were raised by the last generation of single mothers and simps, and they're more than happy to be their boy toys and do their laundry and babysit their kids, as we've seen the video from the other day, if you remember, because they don't know any better, right? If a man was raised by a single mother or in a family where his father is a simp, he's not going to know any better. He's not going to know what a high value woman is. That the woman should be feminine and submissive. He just sees the boss chick with tattoos and nose rings as his mother, the most important woman in his life as he was being raised as a child. So there's no surprise there that these dudes, this new generation of chats, don't really know any better and willing to simp for older women. And by the way, I don't have a problem with that. I think it's a match made in heaven. Instead of these women adopting cats and dogs, they can adopt, younger guys who will simp for them and keep each other busy. Now, but when it comes to essentially older men who have maybe grown together with their wives of approximately the same age, and these wives realize, well, I don't have enough excitement in my life. He doesn't, I don't know what it is, but he doesn't give me this gut feeling, right? Look, he's a great man. We've seen videos like this all the time, right? He's such a great man, but I just need to be free, right? Well, once they become free, like Jessica Alba now is in her 40s, by the way, right? Well, they realize that the reality is not that great. And the reason for that is, of course, I mentioned that, a girl can be married, but if she is on social media, or even out and about, she will have a ridiculous amount of attention from a bunch of simps who are trying to shower her with money and attention and validation, something that hasn't really happened to the previous generations before. Now, this is going to continue. And a lot of men are also going to continue leaving America because in countries like Thailand, where I live now, in other old-fashioned countries, this is not a big deal. I remember I was in Philippines, and I was at that time, so I'm 48 now. I think it was 46 at that time. No, 47, right? And there was a girl came up to me in a lounge that a night before, and she turned out to be 19, and she was with her family. Her family was very much aware that she's hitting on an older man. So we decided to go out for a drink. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, I'm 47. She is 19, right? That's out there. And as I'm sitting there and I'm looking around, and there's a bunch of men who are much older than me with very much younger women on their dates, because that's just how normal it is. This is, my first few months in Southeast Asia, and that's why I wanted to visit Philippines before I decided where I want to live, Philippines or Thailand. Thailand won relatively easy, easy, but there are some caveats, as you probably guys know. So this is not uncommon. What is it? Leonardo DiCaprio. When he's around 50 and he's dating like 18 or 19 years old. This is just the reality of what we're dealing with right now, with men wanting more traditional women, wanting to date more traditional, and Western women having very little to offer, aging out while searching for themselves and developing their careers, which we're going to revisit also later in the show. They end up with the situations where they end up having to date younger men who are the only ones willing to put up with their shit. And this is the story of the day, which I found actually quite interesting. And kudos to him. Kudos to him. If you look at him, he is in shape. He is in shape. He looks good. A lot of men in their 40s look better when they were in their 20s, because they figure, they have enough money to go to good gyms and hire personal trainers. They have enough money to be able to go to, good hairstylists and buy good clothes. And, so overall, I have to say that also, like, I am at my best shape and weight, and I'm 48. Even though I've always been in pretty decent shape, I was never fat or whatever. But I have the flattest stomach that I've ever had in my life since the age of like 15. So yeah, a lot of times, into your 40s, not only you have confidence and career and income, you also have one of the better looks. Today, the girl that I'm going out with, and I don't want to disclose too much information, I'm the first older man she's going out with, and she basically said, yeah, no, I want to go out with older men. That's my thing. And she specifically chose most women who I'm going out with, who are in their 20s or maybe even early 30s, are all either, hey, I'm done with younger men, or men my age, I want to date older because I want somebody who's more experienced, more serious about it, who cares about his health and is stable, or these women have already gone out with older men before and they know exactly what they're getting into. So I love the fact that this story has everything to do with old-fashioned values, but also with the modern women having to get very creative with what they can do with what they have now. Okay, so let's move on to the next segment. This one is actually, I'm going to change a bit of a thing here. Hopefully everyone's you guys still at the Thursday night. We're already in a Friday morning, so hopefully once Friday hits over there, You guys have an awesome beginning of your weekend. All right. So, her question of the day, and this is the segment where I answer common questions from women on social media. So, let's dive right in. This is the question from this lady who I'm assuming in her late 30s. It's hard to tell behind all the filters and or her 40s. So let's see what question she has for us. But it's probably one of the most common ones, and more women are asking this.
This is for all the straight single men, specifically in Sydney. Where are you? No, seriously. If you're not on the dating apps, where are you? Like, where do you go?
Well, I'll give you the answer. There are three places where you can find quality men. One is they've gone home. A lot of American and Western men just do no
Right.
longer want to deal with Western women, and they'd rather go home and take care of their careers, their hobbies, their health, and spend time with their friends and family. The second place you can find us is in Southeast Asia and South America, where a lot of us have gone. One, to get away from women like you who have no value to us at all, and to be around and so we can meet and maybe marry family oriented, um, submissive and traditional women. And the third place where you can find quality men is right in front of your fucking nose. As a matter of fact, it looks like you are very much aware of that because you have plenty. You have a video on your page where you showcase all of these men that you are friends of, that you friend zoned over and over and over again, and you probably think that you are too hot for them, right? However, you insult this man in front, pretty much in one of your other videos, by saying this.
Full of trash.
Oh,
All the
let's
fish are
listen.
dying. I hate when people say, don't worry, you'll find a guy. There's plenty of fish in the sea. The sea is full of trash.
You just called all of these men that you showcased in your pictures trash. The problem is that you friend zoned all of these men, all of these good men. Where now that you're aging out, they probably wouldn't even be interested in you, even if you asked. And those are the three places where all the quality men are hiding. It's not you specifically. Well, I should say this. It's not your looks, though you are aging out very quickly. It's your attitude. If you want a chance on having any of these men, you have to change your attitude. But let's continue listening.
Because all my single girlfriends cannot seem to meet single guys. Like, where are you hiding out? I've gone to bars, gone to churches, clubs.
Bars and clubs is not likely the place where you would meet your husband, because if you're do you want your future husband to be hanging out at bars and clubs? So why are you looking for him there? Good men who will make good husbands are not hanging out there. And another thing, you mentioned churches. Well, I think a lot of men who do go to church or temples or whatever are not there to meet girls, and if they are, obviously they're not there for the right reasons, so that's a complication there. um let's
I've
let's listen in.
joined sporting events. I still can't meet single guys. Every guy I have met in Sydney is in a relationship.
Well, that's not true. Every single guy not you've met, half of them are not in relationships. You've taken pictures with them. Remember remember that video you made when you were trying to prove to all of us, oh no, I do have men around me who want me. I just made them into friends who probably also pay for your dinners and drinks and whatever and drive you around, right? So that's the reality for you. But these you are not like these women need to realize she probably thinks she's really hot, but she is not. She's average looking, and with every day she gets more and more and more average looking. But the problem is, and judging by her other videos, is that she thinks she's super hot, and all of these average looking men are not good enough for her. But an average looking woman should really match with an average looking man.
I don't understand it. With all the people in the city, where are the single guys? Have you just given up? Do you just not go out? Do you just rather prefer male company?
Yeah, so like she came close to calling us gay, right? Because a lot of them do. They're like, well, you like men now? You're just gay now? No. Us not wanting you doesn't mean we're gay. Us not wanting you is just us not wanting you. Emphasis on you. There are plenty of other women we want, especially here, like I said, in Southeast Asia. There are plenty of women who are not wondering where all the men are because they're submissive and traditional and family oriented, and they find men relatively easily when you're that way, especially if you're younger and prettier.
Are you just working to survive, Sydney? Like, please comment below and tell me, where do you go out? Like, specifically, is there a bar? Is there an area? Is there a club? I need to know, because it is just getting so frustrating sitting on a dating app swiping. I want to meet people in the real world. So
The men on the dating apps are the same men that are in the real world. The problem is not with the dating apps. The problem is with you.
comment below, where in Sydney? Where are you? Where are you hiding? Where do you go out?
So, by the way, this has nothing to do with specifically Sydney. Sydney is a very Western city, obviously. But okay, you know what? Let's scroll. Let's scroll. I haven't done this. Uh, oh, another girl saying I need a good man here. The guy says we're not interested in relationships. It's lose-lose situation. I'm totally okay dying single and childless. Agreed. Well, he said, we're focusing on ourselves, says a man quoting a lot of women who wasted their 20s when they had the highest value, focusing on this. Well, there's a comment from someone. I'm in Thailand now. Oh, look, it was me. Okay. Um, life is tough enough without the headache of a woman. I'll hold on to what I have without giving half to a gold digger. Fair. In my garage, tinkering on my motorcycle and cars, like I said, hobbies. Bars is the worst place. The sports activities are the best. That's not a bad advice. Um, I'm not single, but I'm home with my amazing wife that I met at 30. All right. Let's see what else. Well, you get the idea, right? So there are a lot of men essentially telling her over and over again what I just told her, but as always, these women are not going to listen. When they're asking for advice, a lot of times they're not really asking for advice. They just want to bitch and complain and bash men and listen to advice of other single losers women who will tell them, yeah, men are not shit, you need to do this, you need to do that. And of course nobody gives worse advice to women than other women. They're obviously not asking us, because if a woman ever hears me or a man like me saying all of these things to her, she basically will call us toxic, narcissists, and so forth and so forth, right? So we know how that story goes. So that is the question of the week. We'll have one next Friday, as I do these segments every week. But now we're going to move on to a weekly segment. Let's see. Ah, yes, let's get to the dating profile of the day. And this one is quite interesting. We're going to figure out if you should swipe right or left. And I pick women who live in Northern California. Okay, this one is in San Francisco. Her name is Chrissy. And her picture looks pretty decent, except for if you zoom out of this picture. I actually don't know how to do this here, but you will see that this picture is made by the Face app. The other pictures are what she actually looks like. Okay, there you go. No, I mean, I'm sure she can clean up into the original picture that she posted, but yeah. Okay, so well, I don't like the way she's handling this cock on, I gotta tell you. Okay, aquarium, more. She just loves to be underwater. All right. Now, let's just assume that she can clean up and look this way. The pictures, generally speaking, don't give me any red flags, so that's perfectly fine. She's in her 30s now, and she lives in San Francisco. She is 5'10". Now, a lot of women who are tall don't always want to date a shorter guy, though I had no problems. I love dating taller women, though most women who are taller than me here in Thailand are not women. So that's a problem here. Now, let's get to the problem in this profile. Look, co-founder of a tech startup. Now, this is not a preset setting in the dating app. She had to specifically type it in to let you know she is a boss chick. And that's a problem. Women who choose careers, and she looks like develop her career in her best years in her 20s, right? Instead of looking for a husband, she decided to look for how she can make money as an executive, and she's got it. But now she's independent boss chick, which means all of the qualities that she had to acquire to become the boss chick, the executive, are all the horrible qualities that you never want to have in a woman that you're dating. Combative, argumentative, go-getter, talks too much, aggressive, and all of those things you just don't want to have from a woman. And this, my friends, is the red flag of this profile. As soon as you see that, you swipe left. There's nothing here to see. But let's get going, just to make sure that we got the right idea. Though this is or summary, by the way. Um, my self summary: into intellectual curiosity and a growth mindset. Oh boy, two qualities that are never in a top 100 list of things that men are looking in women. And it says here, you should message me if you enjoy any of these topics: business, startups, philosophy, biohacking, good design ethics, real estate. I mean, what the fuck? Honestly, like, it's, I, I cannot imagine having a traditional Thai woman having this in her profile. The things that should go here would be: you should message me if you like children, you are into health, you love traveling, you have a college degree, you have a good relationship with your mother, all of these things. You don't smoke or drink even sometimes, right? Like, all these qualities that would make a good husband, none of them on her list. She's essentially looking for another business partner, and that's what you're going to get. And that's not a good thing unless you fuck your business partners, but that's a whole different video, right? So every single thing in this profile, even the way she smiles, it's almost like how you smile at the corporate meetings, right? Every single thing about this profile tells you, stay away from this girl. She will make, if you want to hire her, go ahead. She may be a very good startup tech executive. But if you want to date her, oh, that's going to be tough cookies for you. So this is something very important. Now, I always preach this. If you find a girl attractive and in her pictures she doesn't have like blunt red flags where she takes pictures in bikinis, or she has tattoos or nose rings, though just by itself a nose ring is just a yellow flag, or she takes pictures in front of expensive cars. If you don't see anything wrong in these pictures, which I didn't in hers, swipe right. Now, not until you match with a girl before replying to her, then you should go and look for the red flags in the profile and dig in. Of course, you can do some AI searching. Yesterday, I showed you guys how you can figure out where the pictures were taken. Were they taken just in her own city? Or were they taken in Dubai, Paris, and many other luxury places where you probably know that somebody had to pay money to fund her lifestyle? So that's something that you should also consider, is using AI to analyze some of the pictures, or for example, whether or not she's wearing expensive jacket or shoes or purse. Again, these are all signs of somebody who will need somebody else to pay for her lifestyle. And if in this case she's paying for her lifestyle, well, that's coming out of her other boyfriend who will always have priority, which is her career. All right, let me take a quick question or comment from the chat. Hammond says, he lives. Okay, so we're still talking about the ex-husband of Jessica Alba. He lives off of the money of his ex-wife, Jessica Alba. He never worked. Uses his daddy's money. Basketball player. Is he tall enough to be a basketball player? But yeah, no. Listen, I'm sure. Here's the thing. I am not specifically talking about him as far as being the best provider and so forth and so forth. I was talking about generally about, and we can go back to that setup here. I'm talking about generally of older men. Of course, not all older men are winners, right? Not all older men and women winners or good providers and so forth and so forth. I was making a point that, as soon as a celebrity, someone in a spotlight who is an older man, dates a younger woman, it becomes a huge news. if he would have been seen with another woman of his own age, do you think this would have made the news? Absolutely not. The whole news is that, oh my God, I can't believe this guy, who's divorcing his wife of the same age, has upgraded essentially to a younger woman, right? So that's what I'm talking about. How he's got his money. I mean, obviously, if and this is, hey, don't we love feminism, right? When now more and more men who are getting divorced are the ones getting alimony, are the ones who are making money on it. Now, I think it's a shitty, I think it's a shitty thing to do, whether you're a man or a woman. But hey, feminism, right? But yeah, my point was more about that an older man and a younger woman is a great match, and yet the feminism, the Western society, the Sims are still looking down on that, even though it is a lot of times a winning combination and just a normal combination in a lot of old school countries like I live in here. Today when I'm on a date with a girl 15 years younger than me, no one's gonna bat an eye. No one's going to bet an eye, and I bet there will be somebody throughout our date in the coffee shop or the lounge, where the age gap is going to be even bigger. So it is just not a big deal here, and it shouldn't be. So my point wasn't so much about him. I don't know who the fuck he is. Okay, I mean, he's Jessica Alba's ex-husband, right? Did I even say his name? His name is Cash Warren, right? Nobody really knows. I think, but in his bio, I did read on Wikipedia that he is a businessman. So maybe it's a family business, but again, the point is more about our society than particularly about him. But also the point is about Jessica Alba, right? Who, she didn't say, she had many chances to say why they're getting divorced, and essentially there was no reason. And a lot of times there is no reason except for a girl gets bored and she thinks that she can do better, or she's trying to get she I mean, obviously Jessica Alba gets a lot of attention on social media, and so she just became a victim of that, and thought that, oh, I can do better in my 40s. No, you can't. That's just a reality, even for Jessica Alba, who, by the way, does not look the way that she used to, obviously, as many women. So, and he probably looks his best in his life. That was my point. So I hope I cleared that up for you. Okay, let me switch to the last segment of today's stream and of this week, because I am resting on I'm not really resting. I'm actually going to make a video in Thai for my Thai channel. But as far as for this channel, I am taking a break. These stories are not easy to find, guys, because obviously a lot of not many publications are unfortunately covering this. The video that I posted the other day about that fight that happened where a man was defending his wife and himself against 5 women. That video is done very well because no one else dares to cover it, and TikTok essentially banned that video from their For You feed because and I'm going to probably do a story on this next week, because it shows a man, even though defending himself and his wife, punching a woman. 2 days earlier, I did a video where a woman punched a man in just a flat out domestic violence out and about in public. That had no problems being allowed, right? So the double standard, especially of TikTok, of man hitting a woman, no problem. A man hitting a woman, a woman hitting a man, no problem. A man hitting a woman, oh, we cannot have this here, right? But we're all for equality. So I'm going to cover that story next week. But for now, let's move on to the comment of the day. And I know I promised you guys 2 weeks ago when I started these daily comments of the week that I will get to the toxic, feminist and simps who talk shit to me all the time, call me names, threaten me, and all that stuff. And yet every day I found something better. I found good comments, positive comments, or good thoughts and questions that I featured. But today I'm going to actually come through with my promise and deliver not one but two shitty toxic comments that I get. But I do have to admit I thrive on them. I appreciate positive comments, and please keep them coming, but I definitely thrive on negative comments, because if feminists and modern women and simps wouldn't be wishing me death, in a lot of these comments, I would feel like I'm doing something wrong or I'm not doing my job correctly, right? Now, this is actually these are the comments for the video I just mentioned, right? This was a celebrity athlete who's been caught on the airport camera essentially physically assaulting her boyfriend, hitting him multiple times as he was just trying to get away from her and not respond. She just consistently was hitting him, and she ended up getting arrested and of course lying about it and gaslighting the police officers, as a good Western woman of course would. So that was a story where she just but look at the comments, right? He deserved it. He deserved it. The only thing that you can go by is that he is a man, right? And this is the hypocrisy of modern women, and this is why I believe in equal rights, equal lefts. That's why I featured the men punching a woman quite harshly, more than one, when they as a group attacked his wife in another clip. That clip that's now gone like 100,000 views on X and 20,000 views on YouTube. And I was one of the few people who got balls to do it. And of course, like I said, TikTok banned that video from their For You stream because this is normal. Yeah, you can hit a man just because he's a man, right? When you say, of course, it's a comment for a woman, he deserved it. Now, what would you say that if somebody assaulted her and said, oh, well, she's a woman, of course she deserved it, right? Imagine that. You would get banned from the social media. You would get probably fired from your job if somebody reported this to your HR department, run probably by the same type of a woman, right? Um, if she's in office and not, cheating on her husband with the CEO of the company, of course. So that, I mean, this is the double standard that women have now, but we got to put them in their place, right? If they want equal rights, that's fine. I've always fought for women's equal rights. Now I'm fighting for equal rights for men because men just don't have as many rights in America as women. But this is the type of shit that we see. Women have become toxic and poisonous and narcissistic while accusing men of that, which is a classic narcissism. All right, let's get to the second comment. And it is right here. It says, she didn't lie, she didn't touch him, she pushed him. Now, this is this is to my comment when I said, and I just told you this again, when police officers arrived and were arresting her. Before that, she said, oh, I didn't touch him. I didn't touch him. I didn't touch him. We had an argument, right? Which was fucking a lie because we all saw the footage. So now this, I'm assuming, woman says, oh, she didn't lie. She did. Like, this is gaslighting 101, right? We all saw it with our own eyes, her punching him repeatedly. And now many women, this is just one of them, says, oh, no, she didn't lie. She didn't push him. She pushed him. See, that's not touching. Well, first of all, that's still an assault, right? But secondly, she absolutely punched him multiple times on multiple occasions throughout that whatever 5 or 10 minute footage. So, and then lied about it. So, this is what we're dealing with, gentlemen, right? And I don't mean to make a light out of it, because this is not really funny, right? Because the most unreported crime in America is domestic violence against men. I've told you this stat many times. In my personal life, over the last couple of years, the all of the victims of domestic violence that I know are all men. It used to be the other way around many years ago, but now they're all men. And this is the culture we've created. I just mentioned that TikTok allowed this video, no problem. But when I posted very similar video of a man defending himself and punching a couple of women who attacked his wife as a group, TikTok said no, and I appealed it, and I haven't. I'm going to make a story out of it next week, but I'm sure they told me to fuck off. And there are literally TikTok accounts that are fully and solely based on domestic violence against men and making it funny. I'm not kidding you. Again, tune in. Don't forget to subscribe, because next week I'm going to feature the story maybe on Monday. Well, Monday my time, so it's going to be Sunday evening your time. Um, and then I'll have a little bit more evidence. The another story that I'm working on is actually of somebody who created an app very similar to the T app. If you don't know what it is, I covered that yesterday. The T app is where women get to publicly bash and post many times lies about men they've dated, sharing their pictures and the private information and so forth and so forth. So a similar app was submitted for the Apple Store to be allowed, and Apple denied it because it said, "Oh, no, 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 no! It's sharing. You can share public, private information of other individuals without them knowing. We can't allow that." Mind you, the T app is very much in an Apple store, and it's been there for a long time. So we'll cover that. But you know, these are the comments that I get. By the way, this is from the app called the Red Note. That's the app that everybody jumped on when TikTok got banned, but then it got unbanned, even though it's owned by the same company. Which again, I'm not surprised that the hate for men, the hate for my content that I make is by far the highest on that app. And generally speaking, Chinese apps, specifically owned by ByteDance, which both of these apps are, have a very anti-men type of policy, as I've described, earlier today. But this is the types of comments that I get there. A lot of times they're sometimes death threats, sometimes they're just wishing me death. A lot of times these people and these women and Sims, right? Will go into the private messages, and I reported all of that just for shits and giggles and see if anything happens. Nothing ever happens. When you report a comment of a woman accusing me of something I didn't do, or me being pet or whatever, because I live in Thailand, all of these nasty comments, they absolutely go against the terms of use of these apps. Nothing ever happens. As long as you're a woman bashing a man, you're all good. The other way around, absolutely not. You're going to get canceled. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine, Dan, of the Men Need to Be Heard channel, I don't know if any of you guys watch his content, just left TikTok on his own because he spent like half of his day fighting off the mass reporting of his content just because these women didn't like it, and TikTok saying, yeah, sure, we'll remove that content, why not, and him trying to get a lot of this content back up, trying not to have his account closed, while when women do this exactly same thing, it's not a problem. And try reporting a woman saying something nasty about men, or even like this, essentially encouraging violence against men. Try reporting that. Nothing's going to happen. And that's one of many problems that we have in the Western societies. That's one of the many reasons that men like me leave. Not only we don't want to deal with Western women on the dating scene, and a lot of times even in a everyday life, where if you open a door for a Western woman, you're gonna end up feeling quite shitty about your gentlemanly gesture sooner or later, because you won't even be noticed. You'll be like a fucking doorman. That's just every woman's going to walk in quite entitled without noticing you even exist, even though you just did a nice thing for them. Things like that. But also, I don't want to live in a society where I have less rights because I'm a man. I don't want to live in a society where culturally, obviously that rings true through the way these social media platforms enforcing or refusing to enforce their own rules. I don't want to live in a country like that. I love opening doors for women here in Thailand, because you have such an amazing exchange of masculine to feminine energy. She will smile, she will why at you. It's a pleasure. When I see a Western woman here, never open the door for them. But usually I ignore them. Like, I don't know why the fuck they follow us here. Sometimes they live here and wonder why nobody wants to marry them. But I mean, it's a pleasure to just not be able to see Western women in general much. And when you do, you just get to ignore the fuck out of them, never open the doors like they don't exist. Just such an upgrade to my life, despite the fact that, of course, moving countries is not easy. This is why I've created the millionmanproject.com course, where those of you guys who do want to actually get the fuck out of there, you can go and follow step-by-step instructions that are quite lengthy. And the link is in the description of this video if you want to do the same. So, all right, Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. It's been another long week with a lot of manosphere news and lots of dating profiles to swipe through to present the best and the worst to you. Thanks for all of the people who commented throughout this week in the live chat, and of course after this content is reposted. Have an awesome weekend, and I will see you all next week. Peace. If you want to ditch modern women and move abroad for more traditional relationships, go to themillionmanproject.com, take my most comprehensive course, and change your life.